Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Biju sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Khyati ma'am.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Hearty welcome. I think today we'll have less participants from the Gulf region because tension is mounting up in the region and war has started. And so many, places in the Middle East, they are getting affected, and the people are, asked to go under safe cover. Let's pray for them, and let us pray that nothing more would happen, giving allegiance to their, lives and all. So thank you so much, participants, for joining. Anyway, let us continue our mission as long as possible. Ms. Khyadi is here with, help. Actually, this new curriculum, NCERT has, released, as so many, areas having vagueness, ambiguity, confusion. So today, with the efforts of our honorable resource person, Ms. Khyadi, most of the ambiguity must be clear. So let's make an effort and let's wish her all the very best. She has prepared her, points to throw light on the areas where clarity is required. So thank you so much once again to Khyadi ma'am, and wish you all the best. Thank you all the time, every time when we request, you accept our request and you help the educators. Thank you, Biju sir. Let's introduce Khyadi ma'am. Biju sir, please introduce Khyadi ma'am. And yeah, let us make it an interactive session. Reserve your questions. You can ask at the end of the presentation. Biju sir, over to you. And connected with this, let me make it a point or request that if anybody is having the second part of grade 8 being implemented or told, please discontinue and please stop circulating, because CBSE, NCERT, and they have issued circulars stopping or even banning the book because of a court verdict. So let us not circulate or use it in the classroom. Grade 8, second volume, second part. Am I right, Khyadi ma'am?
Yes, absolutely right.
Thank you.
म्यूट पे नहीं है तो जो होगा नहीं।
It is my privilege to introduce today's resource person, Ms. Khyati Dwarkadas, a veteran educator with 25 years of experience, serving as head of department at Gopi Birla Memorial School. Recognized as an innovation ambassador by the Ministry of Education, her forward-thinking pedagogy has garnered accolades, including the Rotary International Presidential Citation for Community Service. Ms. Khyati is the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including the Lifetime Achievement Award and Innovative Head of Department Award from Education World, the Sushma Swaraj Women Icon Award for Women Empowerment, and the Acharya Chanakya Shikshavid Samman Global Teacher Award and the International Teachers Guild Award. Ms. Khyati is not just an educator but a visionary leader, catalyst for change, and beacon of excellence in education. Hearty welcome, Ms. Khyati. The stage is yours. Please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salam. That was truly a very wonderful introduction. And of course, your vision for empowering educators with new concepts and make them ready before the new academic session begins, I think translates into all the sessions we do and listen to at Extra Mile Education and Training. So thank you very much, Dr. Salam and Biju sir. I think you all are both true pillars of strength at this organization, and you take most of us through difficult times. So with this, we shall begin with today's presentation. Just give me a moment to share my screen. Yes, I think this is visible. This is what we have planned for today. We are going to be talking about the new NCERT curriculum for grade 9 particularly in social sciences. We will not be discussing other subjects in this particular webinar. Our aim in this particular session is going to be only on transforming social science education throughout this session, where we will try and make it a comprehensive guide to simplify what the draft NCERT curriculum speaks for social sciences. Very pinpointedly, the curriculum shows us integration of all the 4 subjects as history, geography, political science, and economics. It focuses on 16 chapters. Currently, there are 20 chapters very rationalized, but now we will be doing in-depth 16 chapters tentatively. And the curriculum is entirely broken up into 125 teaching hours, also prescribed in the NCERT draft. So while we move, let us look at what we will cover today. There are 8 main pointers we shall be looking into today. One is the big shift, why social science is changing over the years. The rationale and vision about the curriculum, the why behind NEP and NCF both, the core pedagogy, how students learn under this particular framework, the distribution of the subjects, the time allocation, and the disciplinary balance of each subject, learning outcomes, what students know, what they will do, and what they will become at the end of the current academic year of grade 9 they step into. Alignment with the learning standards framework with NEP, NCF, SE, and NCERT with a competency map that we will try and, as per my understanding of the draft, CBSE will definitely be guiding us throughout the process. Assessment framework, we will look at the assessment framework as prescribed in the draft NCERT curriculum with formative, summative, and holistic approaches. And our role as educators, from just delivering information to being architects of learning for the students. So these 8 points are what we are going to try and cover today. In the simplified version of the same draft of the NCERT curriculum. Now, what do we see? There is a big shift in social science teaching. If you can see your screens, the old approach has been done away with. What has gone when you did rote learning, memorize dates, facts, definitions? So when you do away with that, what do you bring in? Competency-based, inquiry-oriented learning. From an only textbook to a lecture-based teaching, which has been done away with, you will now have hands-on activities, real sources, real-time data. Subjects which used to be taught in complete isolation with 4 or 5 different textbooks has now been integrated as history, geography, pol science, and eco. Hopefully, when the book comes, we'll know how many books they create. But it looks like one single book. One size fits all in the written exam is being done away with, and holistic, formative, and summative assessments are likely to be coming up more frequently. Teacher as the sole knowledge authority is being done away with, because now the teacher is a facilitator and an architect of learning. The teacher with the students will be involved in the process of learning. The passive student approach with the read, repeat, recall has been completely done away with, and active learning for the student, where the student will investigate, debate, and create. These three main factors have been brought in with the new draft curriculum. So let's look at the rationale. Why this curriculum? What are the driving forces behind the NEP 2020 and the NCF 2023, which have brought us into this particular curriculum? So we already know that the world is changing. And with this changing world, we can already see that 21st century challenges, climate change, inequality, misinformation, we now need students who can critically think and not just recall facts. So, this changing world has brought about a change in the context. Then you have India's very own context, where we are now going to be grounding it with Indian knowledge systems. So we'll be grounding it with Indian knowledge systems. It ensures students understand their own heritage, identify and live realities while engaging in the world. So when you read the NEP, they categorically speak about focus on Indian knowledge systems. If you've seen the books of grade 6, 7, and 8, Indian knowledge systems has been instilled in those books. And the same values of the Indian knowledge system are likely to continue in grade 9. From knowledge to wisdom, rote learning produces exam passers. We don't need passers, we need thinkers. So students will now move from what happened to why did it happen and what should we do in such a scenario. These are the new dimensions to our learning. The integrated reality, you cannot teach social science as an isolated history or a geography or a pol science or an eco. So we need to tell a combined story of how communities rise, fall, transform. So while you are talking about the history of a particular community, you will talk about its geographical factors. You will talk about its political science, its constitutional values, or kind of government. You will also be talking about the economic activities of men and women. So you will, at one point in time, integrate everything as a subject. NEP emphasizes building character and values. So the whole human being approach with empathy, scientific temper, building resilience, a deep sense of justice alongside academic skills is now what we are looking at in this curriculum. And finally, the constitutional citizenship that NEP focuses on. Right in the beginning of the NEP, they speak about constitutional values and citizenship. So, understanding India's constitutional principle is not an exam requirement, it is the foundation of responsible democratic participation in a society. So, this foundational constitutional citizenship, India's constitution, which has been in the grade 9 curriculum over the years, will continue to remain. Now, the core vision, you have 4 basic pillars of the new curriculum. How students learn. So, like I told you, competency based and inquiry oriented learning. We will follow a discovery approach in learning, rooted in Indian knowledge systems, but meeting a global perspective, focus on vocal for local, heritage of India, combined with world readiness. So, if you've been teaching history or social sciences over a long period of time, we had this heritage curriculum many years ago in our grade 10 curriculum. So there is a probability that the Heritage of India curriculum, which used to be there many years ago, may come back in a transformative form when this curriculum progresses. Then we have integrated disciplines. So history, geography, pol science, and eco combined, they work together as coherent story of how society will function. And then you have purpose, the values, and action. We are not going to be sticking to the book. We are building citizens with empathy, justice, resilience, who can act on what they learn. So it is mandatory now that the teachers move beyond the textbook. So, rooted yet global, just a quick recap of what we've done. Placing India's wisdom and traditions at the heart of learning. Heritage and lived realities, connecting education to India's rich history and daily life experiences. Understanding India's journey in the context of global trends and modern challenges. So, we are connecting it to the world. And we are giving examples from history. So, Ashoka's edicts, ancient trade routes, the constitution, all of these are being now combined into our curriculum. So, when you open that draft curriculum for social sciences and you take a bird's eye view of it, the first thing that comes to your mind is grade 6 to 12 entire portion of history, geography, eco, and pol science is being dumped with into grade 9 with a part of entrepreneurship, a part of accountancy, part of business studies. Everything has come to grade 9. But when you sit to simplify it, when you sit to understand what we are expected to do, it does not look as scary as it looks when you read it. So, in the new curriculum, we see these three basic pillars where you are understanding society in an inquiry oriented way, giving rise to responsible citizenship. So, our evolution, our world, and our resources are being dealt with in a problem solving approach with multiple perspectives, giving rise to case studies, real time data, and maybe even competencies being on the higher side, ending with responsible citizenship, strongly instilling constitutional values, focus on sustainability, justice, and equality. So, an ethical heart plus a logical mind gives you a responsible citizen. Now, when we talk about teaching, the methods, the pedagogy, how are students going to learn in this kind of a curriculum? You're moving from read and repeat to do and discover. So we have an inquiry-based learning. Students ask questions, they explore, they investigate, they discover. Visual and source-based learning, you have maps, you have satellite imagery, Bhuvan app, and etc. But majorly Bhuvan will play a major role in this year's curriculum for geography. You will be studying primary sources that are edicts, maybe Ashokan edicts, there could be other edicts they introduce in the book. There will be constitutions, there'll be court judgments, there'll be infographics. Dense text will be replaced with primary learning medium. So just as we say, interpretation of what is in front of the students is going to play a vital role and the students discovering for themselves rather than a teacher feeding in knowledge. We should not forget that we are in the age of not only Google, but now we are in the age of AI. So students can always learn what they need to learn even without a book. Now is the time you find them, you help them discover how rich India's culture, heritage, geography, economy, and the constitution have been. We're going to be using experiential and simulated approaches. So, role plays, simulated markets, field surveys, building of 3D models, abstract concepts becoming real through direct experience. I'll show you some examples in some future slides. I've got them ready. Then you have dialogue and debate as your most important focus. So you have drawing on India's tradition of reasoned discourse. Students will debate, present and argue and reflect. Discussion is a learning tool, not a reward. Then there is a linkage, an interdisciplinary linkage or a cross-disciplinary linkage. A monsoon flood is taught as economics, where you have livelihood loss. In geography, you will be doing it as maybe Kosi, the sorrow of Bihar. History, you will be doing past responses to the flood. And polity would be the government giving relief features. So now you look at it, disaster management too is being integrated into the core curriculum. It is not being taught separately. So simultaneously, you're going to be talking about all the four subjects. There will be flexible and contextual content. Teachers will adapt activities to their specific students. NCF is giving us that kind of freedom. The textbook will be a guide, not the Bible. So the textbook will guide the facilitator in taking the content further. So we've moved from creating the NCERT textbook as our Bible to NCERT textbook being a guide. Okay, if you see this particular slide, you will also understand that in the last couple of years, we've been following this interdisciplinary project or IDP in social sciences, class 9 and 10. So if you actually followed the guidelines of those 10 teaching periods from the previous curriculums of the last 3 years, you will understand that those 3 years have led to this kind of an approach in the current pedagogy and the current curriculum. Now let us look at the subject-wise distribution. In 125 instructional hours, which is close to 150 periods, you're going to be having around 16 chapters. And look at this. History will be taught in 37 hours and it contributes 30% of the curriculum. You have ancient and medieval India as your focus. There is nationalism in India as a focus. And there is global connections. So part of the revolutionary period from grade 10 is also coming down to grade 9. The grade 6 and 7, ancient and medieval India, is also coming into grade 9. The curriculum which I read showed that part of grade 11 and 12, where you have connections with different civilizations. So not only are you talking about Indus Valley, but you're talking about contemporary civilizations. So those which are currently in grade 11, they are also being brought down to grade 9. You are also coming down to ancient period of grade 12. I saw some connecting features there. So grade 12 parts are also coming down to grade 9. When you look at geography, it has 29 hours. 23% of the curriculum depends on geography. They particularly speak about physical features, which is our current geography. Climate, which is our current geography. Resources from grade 10 has come down. Human settlements from grade 11 has come down. At the same time, we are also talking about oceanography as one part in the curriculum, which has been added later. So a lot of changes are coming in. It is not that it is just going to be as simple or as small. Understanding how to take it forward is going to be the real challenge and will differ from school to school, teacher to teacher, and the kind of students we have in our classroom. Political science, 29 hours once again. 23% of the curriculum will be focused on political science. Focus will remain on democracy, constitution, equality, and governance structures. So if you go to see curriculum from grade 9, 10, 11, and 12 of political science is being moderated and brought down to grade 9. Economics, 29 hours. Actually, the curriculum shows us at 23%, but this 1% I have brought down to make it 100%. So I've shown 24% here in economics. Again, resources. Grade 10 economics currently talks about these resources, which come down to grade 9. Grade 9 also currently talks about human resources. That's again a part of it. Markets are in grade 6, 7, 8. Now we continue in grade 9, but with a different perspective. We have an entrepreneurship perspective also to markets. We have livelihoods. We have demand and supply here. We have a lot more of basic economic concepts from grade 11, which are translated to grade 9 now. We have development concepts. So basic idea of development, which we were teaching all this while in grade 10, has also come down to grade 9. Now, grade 9 is supposed to be opening with a special introductory chapter to orient students to this new integrated approach before the actual subject content begins. So it's not scary, it is just an orientation which is going to help the students. So what each subject looks like in the classroom: geography, you will be having 3D models to show landform formation. You will have field trips to observe real landscapes. A Bhuvan satellite platform of ISRO will be used for live mapping. You will be showing students to decode satellite images and understand change. History, you will be reading Ashoka's actual edicts as primary sources. There will be a lot more field trips and visits to forts, temples, mosques as evidence of history. Trace India's ancient trade routes on world maps. So world maps are coming back in grade 9. And study the Renaissance art at global intellectual links. So you can see Renaissance period is also coming into grade 9, and global links, intellectual links are also coming into grade 9. So all these years that we were talking about a rationalized content in history, we were saying only part 1 or unit 1 is there and the remaining units are cancelled or something. Now is the time to gear up. All those units are coming down to grade 9, as we can see in the curriculum. Political science, you're going to be reading not only the actual Constitution of India, you're going to be reading Vedic texts as well. Students will be analyzing famous Supreme Court judgments. Students will be taught to use real-time census data, Niti Aayog data as evidence. Podcasts and documentaries will be used for live debate. And economics has suddenly become very, very interesting because it now deals with accountancy concepts, entrepreneurship concepts. It deals with markets, local markets. It's going to be talking about demand and supply chains, utilization, plus the local things that we've been doing, banking, all of that has come down to grade 9. So simulate a bank, firm, or household economy. Make a classroom budget of 100 rupees. Learn opportunity cost. So, opportunity cost is a very interesting concept in economics, and it's fascinating to learn in a grade 9 level. Of course, making a student understand it at a grade 9 level will be challenging if you're not an economics background person. Discuss why prices spike during monsoon. So now, if you saw one of my previous slides, I mentioned in history there is a flood situation, or in geography the river is flooding. Economics, why the prices spike in the flood situation. Constitutionally, what the government is doing. Visit local MSMEs to see the supply and demand chain live. So you will actually be making all these visits rather than just sitting in a classroom. So you have to make your annual plan in such a way that in 1 year you're accommodating these multiple visits. Keep the Bhuvan app downloaded and ready, and familiarize yourselves as educators with the Bhuvan satellite platform. It's a very interesting platform when used. Bhuvan and Cetera are two very good platforms, but Bhuvan, being the ISRO one, is being used in grade 9. Okay, now history, it's like, making the students to be a detective of the past. So we'll be talking about Ashoka's edicts, inscriptions, literature, investigate forts, temples, mosques, treat them as living history, living monuments, trace ancient trade routes on world maps, see global connections, study the Renaissance through the works of artists and thinkers. Geography, 3D models, field trips, Bhuvan app, and decode satellite imagery to track urban growth patterns. So this is one geospatial image from the ISRO Bhuvan app. Step outside the classroom. Now the world will be your textbook. So we will not be just sticking to the textbook. We are going to be effectively transacting the curriculum. Keep that in mind. Textbook or no textbook, the show must go on. Political science is now going to be a lab of civic thinking. The real constitution will be read, not just summaries. Case studies using census and Niti Aayog data. So, if OTBA happens this year, then you know what's in. If it doesn't, then the case study questions or the comprehension questions that we get could be using these. Contextualize with Vedic texts, letters from historical leaders, use podcasts and documentaries to make political debates come alive, create graphic organizers to map complex governance structures. Of course, the temple of India's democracy, the parliament. I've kept an image. This is from Heritage First. And this is also more like our curriculum, hence I chose this image. Why is it called the Temple of Democracy? How did we compare it to the Chausa Yogini temple in the Morena district of MP? Okay, now we have economics, where you will be learning by doing. Classroom to market, students can start trading right away. This is a very important thing which has been introduced. We are not just going to be talking about the market, the shirt in a market, etc., which you study in the middle school. You're actually coming to banks, firms, finance, stock market, bulls and bears. You're going to be talking about MSMEs, supply demand chain, and you're going to be analyzing the union budget and the change in prices. So just a quote, if students act like economists, they'll think like one. So, right from basic economic concepts, we are bringing students into current economics. Now, let us look at the learning outcomes of what the students will understand by the end of grade 9. In history, should be able to explain India's evolution from ancient civilizations, Indus Valley Vedic period to the modern state. Understand India's role in global trade routes, intellectual history, the independence movement. Analyze the causes and consequences of major historical transformations using evidence, not memory. Connect India's past to contemporary social realities and identities. When we come to geography, students should be able to describe India's major physical features, that is the relief, drainage, climatic zones, vegetation. Explain how natural resources are formed, distributed, and utilized across India. Even this one simple line talks about resources in class 10, it talks about water, it talks about forest and wildlife, it talks about mineral and energy. So half of your grade 10 content has automatically come down. So now the challenge is going to be in what comes in grade 10 if everything is here. Interpret maps, satellite images, geographical data to understand human environment interaction and analyze how natural events shape livelihoods and communities. So, disaster management, being a part of geography, is going to be given a different perspective. Political science, understand the structure of Indian democracy and the role of the constitution. Explain the principles of equality, justice, and rights as embedded in law. Analyze how the government institutions, elections, and civil society function. Connect constitutional values to everyday civic responsibilities and current affairs. And when you look at economics, describe key economic concepts like scarcity, opportunity cost, supply and demand, and markets. So, obviously, we are building a base for grade 11 and 12. Hence, basic economic concepts from there are being brought down. Understand India's diverse livelihoods, poverty challenges, and developmental goals. Interpret real economic data from the budget, the census, and Niti Aayog. Apply economic reasoning to explain everyday phenomena like price change and employment. Now, with the learning outcomes, what are the skills and values we are expecting them to build in 1 year? So, spatial literacy is some skill that we are doing. Read and interpret maps, satellite images, census data, Niti Aayog, infographics with confidence. Analyze primary sources, edicts, constitution, court judgments to extract evidence with meaning. Reason out the data, use real-time data. Teachers will also be giving them practice with real-time data, budget reports, market prices, population statistics to construct logical arguments. Okay, argumentation should present multiple perspectives on social issues and defend a reasoned position through debate. So social issues, if you remember well, used to be a project topic in grade 10. That's come down as an argumentation topic in grade 9. Applied thinking, transfer learning that you have from one situation to multiple other situations, real world scenarios, which are not seen in the textbook. So you're going to be applying that knowledge in grade 9. Then you come to the values. Values are going to be empathy and compassion, understanding struggles and perspective of others across history, geography, and community, justice and equality, recognize and challenge bias, inequality, injustice in their own surroundings and in history, Build a scientific temper, balance creative imagination with rational evidence, inquiry based learning, questions, tests, and conclusions. Sustainability, develop a sense of responsibility towards the environment, future generations, and the natural world. And civic rootedness, act as active, informed constitutional citizens who connect daily life to India's democratic values. Now, when we look at the learning standards framework, when you open the draft curriculum, you will be able to see over there. There are multiple tables given for learning standards framework, learning outcomes. So I have tried to simplify this as far as possible so that all of us go back well informed and educated. And when we read the curriculum draft one more time, we are aware of where this is taking us. So this draft curriculum from the NCERT for grade 9 maps to different goals mentioned in the NEP with learning standards framework. So that is holistic and multidisciplinary education. It will be an integrated social science model directly addressing NEP mandate, the no silo policy, all-round economy, and they will be taught as one coherent discipline, showing how society works. Then the second NEP goal, critical thinking, creativity, and communication. Every lesson is built around inquiry, debate, and evidence analysis. Recall has been done away with. The 4Cs have been the core outcome in this particular. The third goal from NEP, reduced content load, deeper understanding. Now, from 10 chapters, we've come down to 16 focused chapters. Okay. The encyclopedic content has been done away with. Facts have reduced, but concepts have increased. Teachers are expected to have time, space to allow real and project learning. The chalk and talk has been done away with. The fourth goal, Indian values and culture throughout the curriculum. So in knowledge systems, constitutional values, unity in diversity are very well woven in this curriculum in every unit and are not provided as a separate chapter. But they are now a lens through which all topics are studied. So every topic that the child will study will be connected with Indian knowledge systems. Progression. Clear competencies defined for each grade. Skills built from grade 9 to 10 in a structured spiraling progression. Keep this in mind. I have already shown you that a big chunk of 6 to 12 has come down to grade 9, which means you have to do this year. You have to be the change this year because next year grade 10 will definitely change. Integrated social science as one subject, no silos. All disciplines contribute to understanding society holistically. 3 core goals: understand society, inquiry based learning, responsible citizenship. All curriculum decisions trace back to these 3 pillars. Teacher autonomy is being given to adapt and pace the method and activities based on local student need and context. So class to class teacher autonomy will vary. And focus on knowledge, skills, and values. Assessment must capture all 3 dimensions. A student who only recalls facts has not met the learning standards. In the NCERT curriculum design, when we look at it, there are 16 focus chapters in this grade. Obviously, the load is less, but concept depth is high. Visual and primary source textbooks are meant to be provided in this particular year. Skill progression from grade 9 to 10, skills will deepen, they will not repeat. Embedded formative checks. So in-text questions will be there, activities for ongoing assessment, end of chapter tests, as well as formative assessments. And finally, you will have extra challenges, as we smartly call them, extra mile challenges, advanced questions for high achieving students. Ensure the curriculum stretches every learner, not just the average. So when the previous curriculums that we have been covering talk about changing the lesson plan to include diversified learners, this curriculum has something already for everyone. Now, coming to the assessment framework, let us look at the philosophy. We are moving towards holistic assessment. The formative assessments, which are continuous and embedded, will continue. Summative assessments will also continue. But now the holistic assessments will come in, where every student is assessed across knowledge, skill, and values. And a single written test cannot capture all three. And who will assess the students? Self-assessment, peer assessment, parent input, and teacher evaluation. So this particular parameter that we are currently seeing is definitely the holistic progress card, which is in perspective. The assessment framework, what is tested and how it is tested, by whom. So the domain would be knowledge, core concepts, big ideas, how society works, is tested by in-text scenario, open-ended written analysis by the teacher and the board exam or the summative assessment. The skills, map reading, data analysis, argumentation, source work, how my field surveys, debates, open book assessments, projects, teachers and peers will assist. Values, empathy, justice, Indian rootedness, scientific temper, constitutional values. So, how is it tested? By storytelling, role play, art projects, reflective journals. Who is going to assess it? Self, plus the parent, plus the teacher. Now, when you look at this table by itself, you are able to understand that MA, SEA, and your partly interdisciplinary project is in place. There is scope for OTBA or open text-based assessment in this. However, the curriculum does not clearly specify, this being a draft, does not clearly specify OTBA and in which aspect. I have got a sample question created here at a scenario. It's just hypothetical, but you can try your own in this particular way. Your town's park is littered and poorly lit. Budget data shows spending dropped 40% in 3 years. This is a scenario you're giving the students with 3 questions. Why has spending dropped? Use the data given. Should the town charge entry fees? How does this affect low-income families? And propose one solution using India's tradition of community dialogue. Now, you have already taught these concepts in your text, in your curriculum. You're just asking the same concepts to be applied to a scenario you have given in the exam. This is talking about how the student has understood the concepts that have been taught. Now, our role or your role or my role as teachers has transformed. The chalk and dog goes to architects of learning, guide the inquiry, design questions to spark curiosity and investigation. Let students discover and resist the urge to just give them the answer. Most of us do that, but we now need to resist that urge. Curate real tools like the Bhuvan app, then there are real court judgments, actual budgets, actual primary sources, authentic materials will beat the summarized textbooks and notes every time. Cultivate values, empathy, justice, scientific temper into everyday classroom discussion, even constitutional values. Not just take them as a lesson or a topic, but as a way of thinking. Assess continuously, formative assessment will be there. Connect disciplines, integrate, cross connect disciplines, interdisciplinary project, and inspire citizenship. Every lesson should connect to India's constitution and to students' real lives. You are not teaching a subject, you are shaping how the student is going to engage with their world in future. Now, the teacher has become a facilitator and a co explorer. We know the concepts, we know the content. The delivery pattern has changed, and our method will be to explore with the students. So, flexibility to adapt methods by student need. You are guiding, formative check ins, encourage the why and how questions every time in class, create space for dialogue, debate, and discovery, model scientific temper and empathy in the classroom. 3 essential skills your students will be building on with this. This is the key takeaway of this particular curriculum. Fact checking and data analysis, the scientist mindset, where students will learn to find reliable information, analyze, identify biases, interpret evidence with well supported arguments. They will stop accepting things at face value. So, I have an example here for you. Why did vegetable prices spike during the monsoon? Analyze real market data from a hypothesis and defend it with evidence. Critical thinking and dialogue will be a philosopher's mindset where you're drawing on India's rich tradition of reasoned debate from Upanishadic dialogue, Constituent Assembly debate. Students learn to reason, argue, and seek truth through open discussion. Again, I'm showing you an example here. Read Ashoka's Actual Edict 13. What was his message to his people? What does it tell us about the nature of responsible leadership? So, when you read this kind of a question in the back of my mind, I connect it with the Kalinga War and its impact. If I was be teaching today, I would be talking about the Gulf War, which Dr. Salam just spoke about before my session. So, there is so much of a connect you have in front of you. Then we speak about responsible citizenship, the civic mindset. Every lesson connects constitutional principles to daily life. Students don't just learn about equality and justice, they practice recognizing and responding to injustice in the world around them. Okay, example, maybe role play as a city council member. A new highway will displace 300 families but create 1,000 jobs. How do you decide? What values guide you? What would be your priorities? So a lot of these role plays, maybe MUNs will turn into different kinds of citizenship uh, organizations, but a lot of these skills will now be built in the students. Values we nurture in every lesson: empathy, compassion, scientific temper, resilience, constitutional values, social responsibility. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. We are here to produce curious citizens of tomorrow. The future of social sciences is in our hands, not yours or mine. It's in our hands together on the united front. You're not just teaching a subject, you're shaping how the next generation of Indians thinks, questions, and acts in the world. Suggestions: try one inquiry based lesson this week. Replace one textual question with real time data. let students lead one debate or one discussion. And with this, I make my humble submission to this August gathering, thanking Extra Mile Education and Training for as well as Dr. Salam and Biju Pillai sir for giving me the opportunity to conduct one session on the new curriculum of grade 9 NCERT in social sciences. Thanking all the participants who've joined us today and those who have registered. Thank you very much for being here with us and joining us in this session. I am open to feedback, questions, and comments from all of you wonderful participants.
Thank you, Ms. Khadi. There is a very, very clear presentation with all the points laid out properly. Now let's look for questions. Participants, you can raise your hands or you can type your questions in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands and we can interact with the resource person directly. So all are telling thank you for the session.
There was
It
one
a very
question.
informative session.
Yeah, but there was one question I did read, sir. There was this question which says, when is the textbook uh, to be released or something? Somebody just asked that. I cannot answer that question now, seeing the condition of exploring society and beyond. But the curriculum does mention March end for the release of grade 9 textbook. However, now I am quite skeptical about a release date. Whether the book is released or not, we are definitely sure if we get a curriculum from CBSE in hand, we already know what we are dealing with. So I think even without a textbook, doing a little of the bridge course and moving ahead, I think we should be able to make a difference in the lives of people. Thank you. I see 2 hands up.
Diwali.
Deepali, Miss Deepali.
Miss Diwali, you can unmute and speak. Diwali is, I think she is unable to unmute. So Samsung SM, I think she raised her hand. You can unmute.
I think Samsung put a question in the chat. Okay, raised a hand again. Samsung, SM something.
Hello,
Please.
ma'am. Shalini
Yes.
here. Ma'am,
Yes,
you were
ma'am.
talking about Bhuvan app for
Yes.
this satellite imagery, right?
Yes.
So that the satellite imagery what you will send, it is online, right?
It's
So,
absolutely online.
but there are difference between the different imageries. Students are able to make the difference between that. Are they going to study satellite imagery?
It looks like in the curriculum that we will be teaching satellite imagery.
Because when they go to higher this one, we used to get satellite imagery, but we don't have
Yes.
in CBSE topo sheet. So nowhere we are discussing about the topo sheet.
So as of now, we are not talking on topo sheets. We seem to be talking about satellite imagery because our
Okay.
focus is on Bhuvan, which we can even modify. We can zoom in, zoom out. We can even leave a comment. So I think the focus is there, making it more interactive rather than just looking at maps and identifying and locating.
That's great. So, I mean, there is no 50-50% no for geography, economics, and history civics, how it was
No,
earlier.
it's a 30, 23, 23, 23 is given in the curriculum. So I added one to eco as I showed you.
I have one question for CBA. I mean, this when I used to study, we have different teachers for geography, history, economics. So, what do you suggest? What is your suggestion in that?
My suggestion is to have one teacher teaching everything because if you had to connect and teach with an interdisciplinary no silos approach in our no silos book, then the best way would be one teacher showing you all the perspectives. However, if you have specialists who whom the schools prefer to have specialists in their schools, then the specialists would have to learn the interdisciplinary approach.
Correct, because like I have done exclusively geography and somewhere economics. So history, I mean, as you said, satellite imagery and plate tectonic, and this we have done in 11, 12. Same as
Hmm.
history teachers, they are expert in their own subjects. So
Hmm.
if we all connect, sit together and discuss, and then deliver with a different subject to, I mean, what do you suggest? Is it okay?
It's absolutely nice to collaborate and teach. The pedagogy is collaborative over the years. However, if you wish to teach separately as different subjects, that is also permitted. As of now, CBSE has not come up with any circular predefining teaching in a subject of specialization.
That is up to school, right?
Yes,
Okay. Uh, Thank you so much. Nice,
welcome.
gaining. I mean, we got to know so many things and very excited because since so many years we are teaching the same thing, and it's like a teacher is saying and we are giving the task. Now book is giving the task, then children and parents, everyone will be aware. So thank you so
Yes.
much.
But since
Excuse
you
me,
are a
ma'am.
since you are a geography expert, you could even try Cetera. That's also a good app.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Deepa, yes.
Dipali ma'am, tell me.
Thank you so much for the wonderful information and guide. Ma'am, just one request. Can you please share your presentation with us?
It will be on YouTube tomorrow, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so
Welcome.
much.
Bharti Charlu. Miss Bharti. Yes,
Madam
ma'am.
Namaste. Madam
Namaste.
Namaste. This is Bharti here.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, I'm basically MPhil from history.
Hmm.
But the thing is, as you are telling, that it is a major responsibility of the social science teachers to shape the minds of the students. It's not simply teaching a subject. I was really happy to get to that. I was really excited. But the thing is that the real fact I would like to tell you, the social science teachers, they are becoming like extinct nowadays. We only would be seen as the pieces in museum. How to handle this problem? We are really, there's a very big scarcity for social science teachers. Actually, when madam was speaking about the expertise teaching each part of the social, I felt really happy that are they available?
That's a big thing, and I think CBSE is moving towards that in the next couple of years. You will see specialists only, but that will that will take some time. And when you see the NEP and NCF, I think by 2030, 31, you will see a major shift. Currently, we are in progress.
Oh, wonderful, ma'am. One more point with your kind permission.
Yes.
Actually, the present ninth class book,
Hmm.
where it is giving lots and lots of opportunities to the students to discuss, explore, and even have debates, will it not uh, rise up any other further issue like the recent thing what has happened on the courts?
Hmm. So we definitely feel those are unspoken topics which will get covered. Something that is happening in real time will definitely be up in the classroom. It is the
Yes.
expertise of the
If we
facilitator. It is going to be
again,
on the extreme expertise and diplomacy of the facilitator to guide the discussion there.
yes, that is what is my worry. Like with not proper teachers, social teachers available. So how
I
far is it
agree.
going to?
I agree, but then at some point in time, while the curriculum it tries to make investigative, curious minds, it also tries to make diplomatic teachers. So we will have to use the skill of diplomacy in guiding and facilitating these discussions. The last 15, 20 days of judgments from Supreme Court and CBSE and the changes that we are seeing is really trying to test the diplomacy of every social science teacher, currently all the principals across schools. So we need to work on that.
Well, Poonam Agrawal. Miss Poonam, please unmute and ask. Oh, yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, Ms.
Sir,
Poonam.
my concern is that since we will be now teaching more Indian history, as we were teaching world history in the previous years, will it be easy to connect students? Because I think they are more interested in world history nowadays. As I talk to my students, sometimes they are asking, "Ma'am, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa." Now, means they are not relating those topics now. They are moving for world history as compared, I think, nowadays.
Okay, so the curriculum does not say you're going to be teaching Indian history. You're going to be teaching Indian history in the context of the world. So it's not that you will be teaching
Okay.
Indus Valley. You will be teaching Indus Valley in connection with Mesopotamia, in connection with Babylon. If you taught,
Okay.
you will be doing
Okay.
contemporary civilization. So if you're doing nationalism, it's not only just India, the world nationalism movements will also come down. So, like I said throughout the session,
Okay.
grade 6 to 12, bits and pieces have come down to grade 9. You're leaving nothing untouched.
Okay.
Now it is in
Ma'am,
your
one more
hands
thing.
how you take it further. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. How long it will take to get the books, means PDF in the form of PDF?
I guess that question will have
Actually,
to go to
printed material, it will
NCERT.
take time. It will
That
take
question
printed
should go
material,
to
it will take time,
NCERT,
but at
ma'am.
least
I
we
am
can.
not in a position to answer that question. The curriculum does mention March end, but whenever the book comes, I'm sure
Okay.
Dr. Salam will share it with all of us.
Okay. Thank
Can
you, ma'am.
expect in March, I mean, March end or first week of April at the earliest.
Yes, but now with the current scenario, we do not know, sir, when part 2 of grade 8 has gone. It had only after 1 year, and now that in just a week of its coming, it's gone. So we don't know how they're going to be working with it. There is a blanket ban. Yesterday's Himanshu sir's circular says. Okay, Miss Jaya Prabha. If Miss Jaya Prabha can be unmuted.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Poonam Agrawal, for the question, and Jaya Prabha. Ms. Jaya Prabha, please.
Good evening. Is there any
Good
changes
evening.
in the mark distribution?
40%, 23%, 23%, 23%.
That is
Okay,
the
thank you.
distribution of 4 subjects here. Accordingly, you will get the marks distribution. Moving to Kirti Rathod.
Namaste, sir. I'm Kirti Rathod from Indore. Sir, I just want to, like, ma'am and both of you, I want to ask, do we have any extra material available for teachers also, like the content we are going to teach? So, do we have any resources available for the teachers also, extra resources, so that we can at least give more and more to our students?
If I may answer, I have read the draft curriculum. If you read it carefully, ma'am, there is enough information to take on concepts from the different pieces that they have shared. Also, as basic social science educators, you should be knowing these concepts. Otherwise, over the years, the board has given us the liberty and the freedom to take in real-time data. Census, even if you taught population in grade 9 till 2025, you would obviously have used the census. So census data, poverty data, all those data we have been using over the years. Just that now they are somehow in more focus. Looks like OTBA will have these kind of things. Though there is no guarantee as of now, there is no decisive factor. But you can use all these live data. CBSE has a lot of trainings on case study and case-based questions. You can enroll for one of those, ma'am. And of course, you will definitely, once the curriculum is out from CBSE with a textbook, I'm sure a lot of your queries based on teacher resources will also narrow down. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you, both of you.
As Madam has said, the resources are already there here and there. You have to pull in based on the curriculum. So the concepts mentioned in the curriculum, you can, look for the resources which are available from grade 6 to 11. So moving to Samsung. Samsung, yes, Sam. Please unmute. Samsung is failing to unmute, and Tripti Kanade. Tripti, madam, you can unmute. Yes.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. And sir,
Good evening.
my question is related to the assessment pattern, how it is going to change and what will be the pattern?
I can see the formative assessment, summative assessment, and the holistic assessment in the curriculum. I showed it on a couple of slides as well. And that only means that if formative and summative stay, then MA and SEA are going to be there. The projects are going to be there. One thing we do notice is OTBA mentioned in this draft. We do not know if CBSE will come up with OTBA as of now for social sciences in the upcoming year. So we have to wait and watch for the CBSE's finalized curriculum to come about. And holistic progress card is there. So there are assessments where parent and peer evaluation will be required. When you look at values and other things, I have shown on a couple of slides how the holistic assessment is a feasible thing with this draft curriculum. I hope this answers your question, Ms. Trupti.
Hope you have been answered, Ms. Tripti Kanade. Again, moving to Samsung. Samsung, please. Otherwise, we'll give the chance to Apple. Samsung is again failing to unmute. Yeah, please.
Samsung is unmuted.
Yeah,
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
good evening.
Actually, regarding the history, what I want to ask is about the maps and all. So, all these years, children were habituated world map and all, and when it is related to India map, like we used to give about the states and all. So now, when we are moving towards the new topic over there, do we get even the maps also related to them so that easily the child can catch it out while locating the places?
See, I think world map is going to be in place based on what I read in the curriculum.
Okay,
India
ma'am.
map, the satellite imagery that we are talking about through the Bhuvan app is
Okay.
looking to be as a tool into the enhancing the learning process. I do not think that we are going to be using Bhuvan in an examination room.
Okay, ma'am.
However, there is no finalized guideline from CBSE on the use of this particular method. So maybe the
Okay.
India map continues with the world, or maybe we have comparative maps. So we need to wait for the final curriculum and the textbook from CBSE and the final guideline. Like somebody is asking changes in the pattern of the question paper in the chat
Yes,
box.
ma'am.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
that is a big question. We need to wait and watch. This is a very early stage where we are
Okay.
still discussing the curriculum and its changes. We are
Okay.
obviously not in a position as of today to answer changes in the question paper pattern, but the curriculum does mention OTBA. So there could be a minor change here and there. We need to wait and
Okay, ma'am.
watch. Thank you, ma'am.
And thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Malar, if we could unmute Malar.
Malar, please.
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Ma'am, my question is as the distribution of new textbooks, sometimes it is getting delayed in the month of April. Normally, we teach with the old textbooks. What is your suggestion for this year, ma'am? Is it advisable to continue teaching with the old textbooks in the month of April?
If the new syllabus is brought in, which the CBSE would ultimately tell us by the end of the month. So if the new syllabus comes in, then I feel that only the new book should be used. If you don't get the new book, then you should have faith in your own abilities to gather the material and teach. Try a bridge course. There are many private publishers who have already come up with their personal books, which may or may not necessarily align with the CBSE's finalized curriculum. But based on this curriculum, a lot of private publishers have already come out with their books. I do not suggest the use of private publishers to this date because the alignment may vary. But yes, if a book does not come, you may want to refer, if you are a novice, then you may need to refer to these books to gain basic sources, basic material. But if you have to deal with primary sources, as the curriculum says, then yes, you need to look into the primary sources as per the guidelines given in the actual curriculum. It will be a futile attempt to follow and believe in some book or the other. Even if a textbook is released, it is only a facilitator, a guide for the teacher who is going to facilitate the transaction of the curriculum effectively. So, book or no book, if you have a finalized curriculum from CBSE, I think the teacher should be able to take this forward.
Well
Thank you,
said,
ma'am.
well said, ma'am. The books are already around the corner. Please wait for a week or so. You will get it. Thank you, Ms. Malar. We're moving to Rupal. Rupal, please unmute.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As I was going with the syllabus over here, according to the draft, it says part 1, part 2 books, right? Chapters are in part 1 and part 2. So, ma'am, I would like to know how we will be going about it initially. We have to first finish off part 1 and then go to part 2, or simultaneously we have to take up the thing. So, please throw some light on that.
Part 2 does not come with part 1. We'll have to wait for part 2. Otherwise, we
Okay.
deal with part 1 and wait and watch. That's all I can say as of now. Without the book or the CBSE curriculum, it is difficult to make any comment related to this or how are we going to go about with it. Because as I can see, whatever comes our way, we'll have to deal with it one day at a time. Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you, Ms. Kyadi. It was a very informative and enlightening session. Hope the queries that, the confusion all of us had till now must have been cleared, and we are looking forward to CBSE releasing the textbooks and further guidelines for dealing with the social sciences in the classroom. Till then, we can follow the curriculum with whatever resources available. You can pull in and you can go ahead with the teaching according to the curriculum mentioned by released by NCERT. And thanks a lot to Kyadi ma'am once again for throwing so much light on the topic or the curriculum. Thank you once again. Thank you on behalf of everybody. And thank you everybody for joining. Keep connected. And we do have a social science group where you can, expect the materials very soon, especially the textbook and all. Keep connected. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kyadi ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good day. Have a good day. Thank
Happy
you.
Holi to all.
Yes. Thank you.